Today we're going to be looking at Leetcode 73, set matrix zeros. We're told that we're given an n by n integer matrix called matrix, and if an element is 0, we need to set its entire row and columns to zeros, and we have to do this in place. So in this example, we've got a matrix of all ones, but there's a 0 in the center, and what we have to return is, since we've got this 0, the entire row and column of this 0 should become 0, and so we return the new list. And we're given this example as well. So you might first think, okay, let's go through each. Let's do like a depth first search approach, or some sort of iterative approach where we find each 0, convert that to 0, and then find the next 0 and do it individually. The only problem is we'll end up making the whole matrix just zeros, because we'll make if we had this column, this matrix where we've got zeros, we'd find that one of the zeros that we ourselves have put in. So now based on that 0, then we'll fill in that row, and then we'll just keep on doing it, so on and so forth, until the entire matrix becomes fully zeros. So to prevent that from happening, we want to find the initial zeros, and then only work from those. So we want to have like an initial 0 list. So we're going to code this one up in JavaScript. Let's initialize our 0 list. This is going to be the coordinates of all the cells which are initially that we're given, which are initially 0, before we do any mutations on our matrix. So let's get the length of the matrix. So matrix.length, the number of rows, and cols is going to be matrix 0.length. Okay, fantastic. And now what we want to do is push all zeros to 0 list. So now we want to get the list of all the initial zeros in our matrix. So we're going to say for r equals 0, r is less than rows, r plus plus, and do the same for columns as well. So we're basically just iterating through the matrix now. C is less than cols, or increment C. And what we're going to say is if matrix RC equals 0, then we'll add these coordinates to our 0 list. So we'll say 0 list dot push RC. So now we've got our 0 list created. Now what we need to do is fill in the zeros. So fill in rows and cols with zeros. So again, we need to iterate through the 0 list. So we're going to say for let I equal 0, I is less than 0 list dot length I plus plus, and const row column is going to be equal to 0 list I. So we're going to get the row and column for each 0, and what we want to do now is update the rows and the columns. So let's do the columns first. So we're going to say for, and this gets a bit confusing because we're going to say for let r equals 0, r is less than rows, r plus plus, and you'll see what I mean in a second. So we are keeping the row, we're changing the rows, but we're keeping the cols different. So we're iterating through all the rows, but we're keeping the column the same, so that we can modify each element in our column. So we'll set each one to 0, and we'll do the same for our columns. So we'll update each value in the row. So C C is less than columns, C++. We'll set our row to be fixed, and our column is what we'll change. And this will modify the row. And we don't need to return anything because we have to modify the matrix in place. Okay, so I'm going to run the code. Let's check if it works. We pass the sample test cases. Fantastic. And we pass all 202 main test cases. So in terms of time complexity, we're looking at O of m times n times by m plus n. So it's a bit of a long one. And we can assume m and n are the number of rows and the number of columns. In terms of space complexity, we're looking at an O of k space complexity, where k is the number of zeros. But worst case scenario, if the entire matrix was just zeros, it will be O of m times n. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This brings us to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.